NotaScope is a tool designed to demonstrate the metrics-based approach to the evaluation and comparison of visualization notations as described in our paper. The input to NotaScope is a multi-notation gallery wherein every example is implemented in every notation under study. This is the statistical graphics gallery used in the case study in our paper. It comprises 40 examples of statistical graphics implemented in 9 separate notations. Clicking on the notation header brings up a view wherein we can read the specification source code for every example and see the corresponding visualization. Clicking on an example brings up the neighborhood view, wherein the entire gallery is sorted according to the distance between the example and the selected example. Clicking on a different example resorts the neighborhood. On the right-hand side, we see the source code for the specification again, as well as the visualization. The tokens in the source code are highlighted according to how unique they are within the gallery, the inverse document frequency of the token. For example, the geom_line token here is used in only 4 out of the 40 specifications in ggplot. This can be used to identify which portion of the specification is driving the distances and therefore the remoteness of the specification, which is displayed here. This is the 36th most remote specification in this gallery. Shift-clicking on a different example brings up the comparison view. The difference between the source code is displayed here, and this helps identify which tokens need to change in order to convert the specification for this example into the specification for that example. This difference is quantified using the compression distance metric and is evaluated as 35 here. The distance matrix underlying this neighborhood view can be visualized more directly via multidimensional scaling. In this projection, we can immediately see some clusters appear, such as, for example, these scatter plots, as well as outliers, such as this connected scatter plot, which is indeed the most remote of the specifications in this gallery. We can view side by side different visualizations of the same distance matrix. For example, we can view the dendrogram and multidimensional scaling side by side. And we can identify this cluster up here of visualizations which use the time dimension. We can also compare notations one against the other, here comparing the multidimensional scaling plot for ggplot2 versus that of Altair. And we can view a more abstracted representation by plotting the specification remoteness of each specification against each other. Here we are viewing the ggplot2 remoteness versus the Altair remoteness. This allows us to identify plots which are more remote within Altair than ggplot, such as this scatter plot with trend lines, or vice versa, such as, again, this connected scatter plot. Any pairwise comparison can be visualized in this way through NotaScope, but we can also go up to the level of the gallery to view overall statistics. For example, we can side by side visualize the specification remoteness distribution by notation, and we can see immediately one cluster of notations appears to have a much greater range and spread of remotenesses. We can also hover over the individual points to identify which are the most and least remote points per notation. We can explore the relationship between metrics, for example, plotting the length in bytes per specification against the remoteness, wherein we can see a strong relationship between them in terms of the slope, but quite different y-intercept values. We can explore the vocabulary size metric by visualizing how many unique tokens are required to specify each example in the gallery. For example, matplotlib here requires 190 tokens to express every example, of which 45 are used once, 40 are used twice, and so on, down to the 18 tokens which are present in every specification for matplotlib and represent the amount of boilerplate required by this notation. Finally, we can plot the sprawl metric directly against the vocabulary size metric, wherein we can see 2 high-level clusters of sort of high-level compositional and chart template type notations versus series-based notations such as matplotlib and plotly-go. For more details on the computation of these metrics and the analysis of plots such as the ones contained within NotaScope, please refer to our paper.